We're going to take you back now live to Anthony Albanese speaking in New South Wales, currently discussing the government's housing plan.
4,000 of which will be for women and children escaping domestic violence. $100 million for emergency housing. $30 million set aside to assist with veterans housing. In addition to that, as part of that legislation that's before the Parliament, the Housing Supply and Affordability Council will be established with state governments and local government. We need to look at the supply of housing. We need to look at land release. We need to look at local planning laws to look at how we improve affordable housing and its access for Australians. We have a multifaceted plan, and we have our regional home buyer scheme that's already been accessed by thousands of Australians, have already accessed that. So we talk about election commitments. We made a commitment, we announced the plans. Australians are benefiting already from our regional home buyer scheme. And then we have our Help to Buy scheme, which will assist through a shared equity scheme Australians to get into housing. If you look at all of our plans, we have the most comprehensive housing policy of any federal government in decades. And what I want to do is to work with state and territory governments to do even better into the future. We understand the pressures which are on, which is why we have a multifaceted plan. But I make this point. The Coalition, for reasons beyond my comprehension in Canberra, unlike the opposition leader in New South Wales, who's constructive, who votes for good ideas when they're put forward by the government here in New South Wales, such as the bipartisan way that we dealt with energy price relief and the price caps on energy in December last year. In Canberra, they just say no to everything. So they're saying no to our Housing Australia Future Fund legislation for reasons beyond my comprehension, in spite of the fact it's supported by industry, in spite of the fact it's supported by state and territory governments, and in spite of the fact that it is supported by the housing sector. Well, I do get on well with Dominic Perrottet. I get on well with Jeremy Rockcliffe. I get on well with every state premier and chief minister. And I've got to say, when we sit around the cabinet table and the dinners beforehand, they're collegiate and we work constructively. But the problem for Dominic Perrottet is that he leads a rabble. He leads a rabble that is disunited, that's too busy fighting each other to fight for the people of New South Wales. And that stands in stark contrast with Chris Minns and his team, including Caitlin and Liza, who are with us here this afternoon. That's the big difference. In order to actually take the state forward, you've actually got to have a constructive plan. I find it extraordinary that Mr Perrottet is going to an election with a whole lot of ministers who aren't recontesting their seats, because to replace them would cause the sort of chaos that we've seen over replacing a single member in the New South Wales Upper House in the last week, let alone the division and fights which are there between the Liberals and the Nationals. So I think that it's time for a change in New South Wales. It's time for a government that is united, where the Premier and the leader can speak on behalf of the government without having to watch their back the whole time.